Hey, Dave Duford here at the Ford Insurance Group. I've got Mr. Brad Wilson here to talk about how he helped 18 families with their Medicare needs. We're going to do a deep dive into how he was able to do that in just 1 week and are going to, in the process, talk about the Medicare business, the pros and the cons of it, and how Brad runs this kind of business on a consistent basis. So, Brad, how you doing today?
Good. How are you, David?
I'm fantastic. Thanks so much for being here. I always appreciate you, man.
It's an honor.
So yeah, let's jump right in and go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up into this wonderful world of selling Medicare.
I am Brad Wilson, and I live in Des Moines, Iowa. Back in 2020, I was looking for a business to start because I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I worked at an insurance company at the time in the corporate office, and I would just do a bunch of different work at the cubicle all day. And so when I was looking at a business to start, naturally, insurance was a viable business for me to look into. Did a lot of research, read a couple of your books, and I decided to go all in. I resigned from my position at my job, and I just focused 100% on starting a Medicare Advantage sales business.
I'm curious, if it's okay to share, what did you do at your insurance career, I guess, before sales?
Absolutely. So I started out in 2012 as a phone agent at Nationwide Insurance. And then I worked there for 4 years, and I became a personalized underwriter there for auto and home. And then I left that, and then I ended up at Farm Bureau. And I really liked Farm Bureau. They let me run some charity events there, so that was kind of fun. And I was a representative there that handled the business when an agent would leave the company, and then our team would handle that business until it went back out into the field. And I actually got promoted to the senior representative on the team, so I helped with training and bringing on new people, things like that, as well as sales.
So were you well aware of the insurance sales opportunity then, I take it, before you got into your line of work now?
I absolutely was, but I have to say that the whole idea that I had of insurance sales was based on P&C sales, which P&C sales is way different, because I don't, as far as I knew, most people in the field anyway didn't just purchase leads and run those leads. So they had to do a bunch of warm marketing and things like that, which is great long term, but short term it's more difficult to bring in money that way. So that's actually one of the reasons I tried your opportunity.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I'm interested. So your experience was pretty much P&C, right? Nationwide, and then Farm Bureau, a lot of that with those carriers. But you went the Medicare route.
Yeah.
Why Medicare?
Well, I looked into the business, and I realized that it's a product that pays renewals on a regular basis if you can keep those clients on the books. It's a growing business. I think I remember watching your YouTube video where you talked about 10,000 new Medicare or eligible people every day. I think it is. It's incredible. So I knew that it's a growing business, and I also knew that the people didn't have to pay a premium for the product, so it's going to be easier for me to sell it, because there's the sales of the product and the actual paying the premium are not connected, so that actually helps me sell it easier. And I like the opportunity. I remember watching a video of Adam Howard and you.
Yeah.
And Adam Howard talked about how he sold 800 policies a year, and I thought, well, you know, the guy is obviously extremely talented and works extremely hard. But I thought, you know, I mean, I can kind of do what he's doing. I figured I could. So, and even if I don't sell 800, if I sell 400 or 500, that'd be great. So that's what made me decide to do it.
So I will mention something to emphasize, because I'm sure some of our audience is just getting introduced to Medicare, and I like to make sure this is clear. Kind of the thing that's interesting about Medicare compared to P&C or really any other product is with Medicare Advantage plans, the vast majority of them now literally do not have a premium. They would technically, it's a zero premium. We can't say it's free. That's non-compliant. It's not free. The client's paid into it with taxes and all through their life, but the premium's $0 a month. Now, I ask yourself, how hard is it to sell something that doesn't cost anything? Well, a lot easier typically than something that does. And I think that's a pretty big draw here for a lot of people, is that you don't have to take their money. So I just wanted to clarify that, because that may surprise some people who are used to having to take somebody's money to sell them a policy.
Absolutely, David. I remember when I was researching this opportunity, I had read in your book, I think it was, on final expense, that to have a qualified candidate, they had to have I don't know, they're not going to be in the right order, but they had to have the bank account, the want, need, the underwriting, health qualifications, and the budget. And with regard to this, they only have to have the want and the need, because they don't need the bank account, they don't need the underwriting or the budget. So that as a result, it's easier to sell something that way.
Right. And does a senior want health insurance? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do they need it?
Yeah.
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 It's questionable sometimes with like final expense. Do they want it? What if they got money in the bank? Do they need it? Same thing. Right. So what we found is why I'm a big advocate of Medicare is it is generally, I believe, an easier sale for those reasons than final expense and many other life products. So let's talk about, I'm curious, what is like a typical day for you? And let's kind of break into it with, you hit 18 sales in 1 week, you helped 18 families.
Right.
Kind of take us through what that process looked like, from setting the appointments to seeing the people and kind of what happened. So just kind of take it where you'd like from there.
Absolutely. So when I first started out, I did what almost every Medicare agent does, is I purchased leads. I purchased both Facebook and direct mail, but then eventually I just kind of got to be mainly buying direct mail leads. But I would call and I would set those appointments myself. And I remember, even starting out, it was kind of hard to do that because, I had phone fears and stuff. Remember, I was talking to you about that on our first mentoring call.
Yeah. Right.
But, and I think you just said something like, just tough it out. You got to do it. So do it, man. And so, I got to be pretty good at setting my own appointments. But the whole reason I explain that is that now, after about 8 months in the business, I did get an appointment setter, because I found that I was so good at being able to run the appointment that was the most valuable thing that I did in my business, was running the appointment. And so I actually hired an appointment setter. So when I sold 18 policies a couple of weeks ago, that was just going to the appointment. Like, I had already purchased the leads long before that, and I contracted with an appointment setter, and the appointment setter knew kind of where I wanted to. I give them direction as to what areas that I want to run in, what hours I want to run, so on and so forth. But they actually made the calls. So I just kind of got up on Monday morning and I saw that I had 7 appointments. First one is going to be at 9 o'clock in the morning. Last one is going to be at 6 o'clock at night. And that's a tough day. It really takes a lot out of you. This business is certainly not easy. Even if it sounds like it's easy when the way I explain it, I just go to the appointment, but it's not. Because it's not like the people are just dying to see me. I mean, yeah, like you say, there's maybe more of an interest in there would be in final expense, but still, I mean, I'm a salesperson and I have to make them interested in what I'm doing. So I had to drive about, I think it was an hour and a half away, is where my territory was, is where I was running. And those of you that are watching that don't know, when you sell direct mail leads, or when you buy direct mail leads and run those leads, they're all going to be in a certain geographic area. And many times it actually helps to drive outside of your city if you live in a big city, because the more rural areas, a lot of times there's fewer agents and less competition. So the week that I sold that much, I was working a more rural type of an area. So I woke up on Monday morning, left at 7:30 in the morning, got to my first appointment at 9 o'clock. Went in and just I just knocked on the door and introduced myself and just I went through. I have a process now, and would you like me to kind of go through what my process?
Yeah, please, absolutely, yeah.
Honestly, this is also something I learned from you and reading your books, and I think you talked about this, but top producers, they have a process, and they don't have to wonder what they're going to do when they get in the house. Very little varies on almost every single person that I see. And I'll make the process better, and y'all get better over time, and I'll fix something here or there. But once I fix it, I just keep doing it every single time. So once I got in the house, the first thing I do is, hi, Mrs. Jones, this is Brad. I'm the Medicare guy. I'm the Medicare guy. I don't say my name of my company officially is Iowa Senior Advisors, but these are folksy folks. I don't want to get too technical. So I'm the Medicare guy. And I usually ask, oh, so how's your day going today? And they'll be like, oh, fine. And I kind of hope that there's a dog or something around, because then if there is, then I'll be like, oh, that's a cool dog. And what's his name or something, just break the ice a little bit. And I know that not every agent does that, but that's just kind of my process.
Right.
And so then anyway, once we sit down and build a little bit of rapport, and I don't build that much rapport, honestly, that's about as much rapport as we walk over to wherever we sit.
A couple minutes, maybe tops rapport building.
Sometimes, but
Not
usually,
even, okay.
usually I build rapport as we do the presentation. That's my style of it. Typically. So the first thing I do is I just whip out my iPad, and I've already got a picture of the card that they've mailed in on my iPad, and I'll show it to them. I'll be like, so, this is why I'm here. A couple of weeks ago, I'm just going to say it like how I would say it to them. So, a couple of weeks ago, you had filled out this card. And they'll show it to them. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And I'll be like, now, typically, when people fill out a card like this, they have one of three different questions. The first one is it possible to get the $170.10 back that some people pay into Medicare? And I'll say that's a concern of a lot of people. And I'll say, you probably see it on TV, and point to the TV. And then they'll look, they'll be like, yeah, I hear that on TV all the time, on the radio and so on. And then I'll be like, and the next thing that people are concerned about with Medicare is that sometimes prescription drugs are giving people a hard time, and they want to get some extra help with that. And then I'll say, and also the other thing that they're concerned about is the additional benefits of Medicare, like dental, vision, hearing, food card, and so on. So when it comes to your situation, Mrs. Jones, what are you most concerned with Medicare? And then if they say the 170, then I'll go back, hammer home the prescriptions again, and the dental, vision, and hearing, because occasionally I can help people get the $170 back. For those of you that are watching, that means show them how to apply for Medicaid, which is I probably got over 20, 30 people maybe approved for Medicaid. Well, it wasn't me that did it, but I showed them how to do it, so they didn't know how to do it. But most of the people I can't help with that because they make too much money or they're already on it. So then I really want to find a reason why I'm there, a problem that I can help them with. Many times they have prescription drugs that they're paying a copay for, and I can find them no copay for it if it's a generic. Or they don't have enough dentures, or they want to get dentures. Or they don't have a plan that covers it, or they don't know if their plan covers, so they don't know if it covers the dentist, they don't know if it covers vision. But I've got to find something, because if I don't find something, then why am I there?
So you're fact finding, pre-qualifying right away to see what that hot button issue is, right?
Yeah, because remember how we talked about they have to have the want and the need for it?
Yeah.
Well, they obviously need it, but they typically already have something. So I have to find a want that they don't have, or that they don't know they have.
Right. Excellent.
So after I do that, then I'll figure out whatever it is. And then I'll say, well, we'll talk about all that, whatever they mentioned, as long as I found something. And then just then I break out my little book here, and I say, so can you all see this?
Yeah.
And so I say, so I represent Iowa Senior Advisors. I just want to show you this. This is my license, so you know I'm legitimate, Brad Wilson. And then this is I represent Iowa Senior Advisors. We help people with burial insurance and annuities. We specialize in Medicare. And then also I represent all the major companies, and then point to them. And usually one of the companies that they have, I'm on there. And then eventually, then I just go into questions and ask questions from, like, I ask three questions, and that is what's their date of birth, and what is their any health issues in the last 5 years, and then also I ask if they take any prescriptions. And then at that point, they've shared enough information with me, and they build enough trust that then I say, and so I just need you to show me the cards that you show the doctor, like your red, white, and blue card, and your other supplement. I just say supplement because they don't know about it. Right. And they'll go get that, and then from there I can see if they I can look them up on one of the carrier websites to see if they have a program called Extra Help. And I can usually see if they have a Medicaid, things like that. And from there, I kind of know what I'm dealing with. And I kind of, in my mind, I know where I'm going, because I know if they have an HMO that I could show them the benefits of the PPO. If they have a plan where that there's a more competing plan, I just kind of know after enough experience already where I'm going. But then I have to kind of open it up and find out what's more of their need is, what's more of their want, I need to make them feel a little bit of pain in their current plan, and before I show them the solution.
Right, absolutely.
I show them the solution, and usually in there along the way, we kind of build some rapport. I find an opportunity to show them, show you this here, because this actually is important in my sales process. Show them picture of little buddy. I actually read in your book on final expense, I think you had said that you used to show people pictures of your children and your wife, and you said if you don't have a family, like I'm a bachelor, show them a picture of your dog. So that's what I did. But anyway, they've built
it works. They love dogs. A lot of them do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they've built enough trust in me at that point that I just propose a solution. Sometimes I'll go over their existing plan and I'll show them what they have, because many times they don't know. And that makes it much easier for me then to show what I'm offering them and why it's better. And to do it compliantly, you're actually supposed to go over all the summary of benefits of what you're offering them anyway. So I don't want to go over a summary of benefits that shows that they could potentially pay $3,900 if I haven't already showed them that on their own plan, they could potentially pay $4,500, because they don't think they have to pay anything many times. So
right.
Anyway, and then once I just get them to agree to it, then just, go on the iPad, I can sign them up. And then I just give them my card, tell them that I'll be calling them in a week to let them know that they're approved for the plan. And then that I'll be there to help them throughout their Medicare journey. And then I go out to my car and I get a book. There's a book that goes with every plan, but there's 25 plans in my area, so I can't bring them all into the house.
Right.
And give them their book, and that's it. So when you asked how did I sell 20 or 18 plans that week, that same process. Now, sometimes I would work 7 appointments a day. I took 1 day off during the week, and I worked 5 appointments on Friday and 5 appointments on Saturday. And so a lot of them I didn't sell. A lot of them were, I mean, even if they make the appointment, people, they don't really care that much. I mean, they're having a salesperson come to their house, right? So, I mean, if something comes up, then they won't be there and it'll be a no-show. And I'll take that time to call customers back and I always got stuff to do. And then just get on to the next appointment. But that's how I sold 18 policies.
So it's really a process of, correct me if I'm wrong, knowing your process in the home.
Yeah.
And rinsing and repeating that at a high level of activity. Because how many appointments did you do to get the 18 sales?
I did, well, there's 3 days of 7 plus 2 days of 6. So that would have been 21 plus 12. That would have been 33. Yeah, 33 appointments.
Okay. So you're closing more than half, right? A little bit more than half. That's, yeah. So just numbers, right? At some level.
And I didn't sit with all those people either. That's just appointments that were made. So I closed a pretty high percentage of the ones I actually sat with.
So a couple of questions for you, kind of as we've gone so far here. I want to step back and think of the audience here. There, some of these people brand new, they've never heard of Medicare before. They're like, what is this business all about? How does this work? Couple of things here. Number one, are all of the plans you're writing Medicare plans, or do you mix in and match like final expense or other products? What's your experience there?
When I first started out, I didn't have quite as many leads as I have had now. During AEP and OEP, I've had a lot of leads and a lot of appointments, 7 appointments a day. So honestly, I don't really cross-sell quite as much as I did when, yeah. But like I do, whenever I sense an opportunity, like just actually last night, I mean, I went to a whole final expense presentation. I didn't get it, but I sensed an opportunity there. But honestly, like that, my main goals are all, I guess my personal goals are all revolve around Medicare Advantage at this point. So that's what I'm mainly focused on. And if I find an opportunity for final expense, I'll take it, obviously, or especially for Medicare supplements, because sometimes when we go through the thing, they've already got a Medicare supplement and they don't like the idea that they may potentially have to pay copays. So then I just go right into the Medicare supplement presentation. Right. I mean, I'll get those sales as well.
A couple of notes here. It's interesting. First of all, Medicare supplements versus Medicare Advantage. These are both Medicare plan options that you have if you've never sold Medicare before. What we specialize in at DeFord Insurance Group is the Medicare Advantage side. Reason being is I believe it's a simpler sale. There's no health underwriting. As you can see, there's 0 premiums like we talked about earlier, and we're able to get a ton of leads for it. And it's a growing segment of the population. There are more people getting into Medicare Advantage plans and supplements. So I think the market is shifting towards that direction. And the other thing I'll note too, Brad, I find this fascinating. Um, I think we were at the Elite Agent Summit, and Luis was like, I can't believe you people won't sell hospital indemnity plans and cross sell. And you see all these people and stuff. But, the funny thing too, like John Dean's the same way. He writes 60 to 80 a month. And all he cares about is the Medicare Advantage plan. And I find that so often with people like you who are working at high levels of capacity, that they're so, and it's a good thing. You're so honed in on the Medicare sale, you just have no time to think about the other stuff, and but there are cross-sell opportunities out there. But again, that's funny because the top producers, man, they pretty much only write Medicare, and you're not the only one that does it.
You're definitely right. There are cross opportunities. I've sold a decent amount of hospital indemnity. And like I said, when I first started out, I would have like maybe 10 or 15 leads a week or something. So, I mean, I had 3 hours till my next appointment. So I would just sit there and I would go through everything with them.
Yeah.
And actually I did cross sell a higher percentage of those leads, but I would finish with 3 or 4 Medicare Advantage plans in the whole week. So out of those 15 leads, but then maybe I also got 3 or 4 final expense out of them. So great. I worked the heck out of them, but long term, I wasn't growing near as fast as I am now. Not to mention that now that I know what I know now, I know why. I think when I first started out, you had said, pick one or the other. And I was like, David, I want to sell both. And you're like, no, pick one or the other to start out with. But now I know why, because I have sold final expense for 1.5 years, and I'll sell it all day long, and Medicare supplements. But I know that I am not the expert that I am at Medicare Advantage. I mean, yeah, the product might be something that anyone with a license can get appointed to sell, but anyone with a license is not an expert. And to be an expert, you have to have sold multiple different policies with a certain carrier to know when a certain problem comes up with that carrier, how they're going to address it, what all the loopholes are. This is especially funny with Medicare Advantage. I'll give you an example. It was last year there was some problems with one of the biggest carrier around. There was problem in Iowa anyway, and I think in the whole country. You probably know who I'm talking about, but there was problems with their system for determining if they qualified for the dual plan. And it would literally it would say on their system not eligible, but then like I figured out that they actually were eligible because they had QMB Medicaid, which was what they required. And so, but it would say not eligible on their own website. I'd have to go on a different carrier and find out what status they were, if they were QMB, and I'd write them anyway. And then of course, even though it said on their website is ineligible, when it got to the actual people that actually made the decision, well, they figured out the truth that they actually did qualify in Iowa. Well, if I wasn't an expert in that, I would have just walked right by and missed that sale. And probably most of the people did. And I don't even know if they ever fixed it because they're not selling that particular plan in Iowa now, but they didn't fix it, throughout the whole time. But there's numerous situations like that if you don't really know how things work, if you're not an expert, you'll miss those sales. And I know that I'm not that way with final expense, and that I'll probably miss a lot of sales that if you were in that same place, not even talking about sales ability, I'm sure you may have better sales ability, but you also have more knowledge. And anybody who specializes in FE, final expense, is going to have that knowledge to be able to get that sale that I'll miss. So that's why I like being able to just kind of focus on one thing.
And I'm so glad that you validated that with your personal testimony, because one of the things is, I preach is the power of focus. And anytime you are on YouTube or you're watching a video like this, like the pros, the people who are good at the stuff always make it look easier than it actually is. And that's why they're good at it, because they know it like the back of their hand. They just come out with every detail that you don't know anything about. And you sound like it makes it look easy. But the reality is, in the thick of it day to day, it is terribly complex, more so than you would imagine. And we only have, as human beings, so much bandwidth to focus, right? And even intelligent people, they focus on one thing because that's where they can yield the most efforts and outcomes from it. So I think Brad's testimony here is good advice for you new people. If you haven't decided on the product that you're going to do, you need to. Don't be everything to everybody. You'll be nothing to nobody. Couple other things here. Let's go back to the leads. Why direct mail? You said you did Facebook leads. Now you do direct mail. Yeah. What are the advantages of working direct mail leads?
So from my experience, the importance of the lead or the value of the lead is very much related to the intent of the lead. How much did the person care about getting that information, because what they're doing is requesting information, and they have to know what information that they're requesting, and they have to take some effort of their own to go through to get that information. And if they don't put very much effort through, then maybe they don't really care that much, and they may not even want to take the effort to meet with me when I actually call them on that lead. So with Facebook, they can just click on something that they're up at 2 a.m, they can't sleep, and they just, they click on something, and then a lot of times they'll just automatically fill, and you've all, when I've all filled stuff online, it'll automatically fill in your name and your email address and everything. So you could have clicked on that within 10 seconds, and that's all you did. Whereas to a direct mail lead, they have to actually take it, write out their name. You'll see their handwriting, and some of them really good handwriting, some bad, but you can tell that they actually put some effort into writing out the fact that they want this information on Medicare and on Medicare Advantage related topics. So, and then they have to take it to the mailbox and put it in the mailbox. So just the fact that they did all that means that they're going to a lot of times be more receptive to my calls. And I did work Facebook leads when I first started out, and I found that many times they were more ambivalent about it. I would call them and they'd be like, but I'd call a direct mail, and it was almost like, the other thing that I kind of figured out is that with Facebook, they're probably not just on Facebook, they're probably on Twitter, on Instagram, and everything. And they probably filled out 6 or 7 different lead things within the last 2 weeks. So you figure how many calls they're getting, whereas most people don't fill out that many cards because it's harder to fill out a card.
Yeah, that's kind of the irony with the advent of digital lead generation. It's made in a sense, the opportunity to talk to more people much more prevalent. And the flip side is the buyer intent, the intent of the lead is lowered dramatically, because like you said, and you hit the nail on the head, man, it's too easy. When you're scrolling through, getting mad about politics or watching some travesty on Facebook, and you see an ad and it's already pre-filled, it's easy within seconds to hit submit and then go back to wasting your time, and that's bad, because people don't really care. It's too easy. But direct mail, man, physically had to walk it back. They probably could have thrown it away like all of the other times. That's why direct mail is just critical. It's a game changer. So that's cool to hear. Let's see what else here. Oh, appointment setting. I kind of wanted to talk about that more.
Sure.
At what point do you think agents should consider, whether they're Medicare or not, what would you think would be some signs or points of considerations to go the route of hiring out or outsourcing your appointment setting?
Well, first of all, I think, and I think you had told me this when I first started out, that even if you don't really want to call leads to start out with, you really need to. You got to know what it's like. What's that process like? What is it like when the person answers the phone? You have to convince them to agree to meet with you. And what are different types of appointment setting too? Because some agents will call and ask a lot of different questions before they'll go meet with that person. And that's how I started out, is I would ask several different questions before I got them to agree to the appointment. And I didn't get as many appointments, but the appointments I got were more rock solid. But then there's also another strategy of just asking a couple questions and just to get general interest in Medicare, and then setting the appointment. And then you get more appointments, but you wouldn't really know those things if you didn't experiment with trying it out yourself. And then if you do hire an appointment setter, then like, I have so much respect for my appointment setter. And the reason is, and like, I don't get mad when there's a no-show. I don't get mad when the problems come up, because I know that when I did it myself, that I would get no-shows. I would get, things like that. And I think that helps, because I've also seen some agents that they try, they'll go from appointment setter to appointment setter. Oh, this one, this way, this one, this way. They're never really happy, because you have to, if you do it yourself, how hard it is. And that it's not a perfect science. And so I think anytime you're going to manage something, that's what you're doing in a business, you're managing, even if you're contracting out to an appointment setting service, you're still managing that relationship, and you have to know what it is that you're managing. And that's mainly the reason I suggest people start out doing themselves, and then wait till they have enough leads, because I think that if you have a less than 25 leads, or, everybody would say it different. I know some guys can set John Dean can set 100 leads a week himself, but,
Yeah.
but most people there's a limit to where, it's just, it's too hard to set all the leads and pay enough attention, call them enough times, things like that, because you have too many leads. And really the most valuable thing that we can do in this business is present to new customers and sell them. Because that's where it takes all that knowledge that we just talked about. The appointment center doesn't need all that knowledge. We do in order to go out there and produce. So once you have gotten to the point where you have a really good closing ratio, where you know what you're doing, and where you have a process that you can rinse and repeat, and you have done the appointment setting long enough to know what it is and what's involved in it, and why it's can be hard, and what different ways you can do it. At that point, I think that's the time that people should get an appointment setter.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. And you bring up a really good point. This is the main motivation, I think, to get an appointment setter, is that it maximizes your most valuable money earning activity. And I'm sure Brad would agree, which is that's being in front of your prospects, selling them insurance. You're the pro, you're the expert at that. You should be as the agent. And the more of those presentations you can run, the more money you're probably going to make. Whereas there's all sorts of people out there that can be competent enough to set the appointments for you, and they'll be happy to take a couple $100 a week to do it.
Yep.
And it's one of the best things to outsource right away when you're ready, very much on the terms of what Brad described. You got a lot of leads, you know the deal, and you'll make it back if you are good at it. And it shouldn't be that hard to recover your money. But what you get in exchange for that, the extra time and the extra appointment opportunity is incredible. Last question here, Brad. Thanks so much for being here. This has been a great interview.
Oh,
for those agents here who are interested in selling Medicare, what kind of advice would you give them when it comes to leads, training, support? What steps would you have them take to figure out the best place to go, the best opportunity to partake in the Medicare business?
Well, I'm kind of partial. I think that 360 and we have the best opportunity. That I work on your agency, but it's going to be scary. It's going to be very scary for especially if you did what I did and came from working a regular job where you get a salary, and now you're going to try and start a Medicare business, or even if you're in final expense and you can knock those sales out, but you're going to now put a substantial amount of money invested in leads for Medicare. Is scary as to, am I going to get a return out of it, right? And I honestly, I think that if you work really hard and if you do everything you can to get in front of these people, you will get the return out of it. You will make not only your money back, but you'll make more money than that. And then the main return is the renewals, and you're going to build up a business and a clientele and everything. So, I mean, I would say if you're willing to put 100% effort into it, because you can't go into it. I've seen a lot of agents already that just in the last 2 years that kind of half-heartedly did it. I'll do this a little bit, but then I'll do this and I'll do this, and I'll be a realtor also, and I'll do this. Well, I mean, it's too hard because you're not gonna. There's too much to learn, even though it sounds simple. It's really not. It's simple, but it's a lot of information. So if you're going to give it 100%, though, you will be successful. So go ahead and do it and contact David.
There you go. Checks in the mail. Real quick, I'm curious how I tell agents that in that first week in the field, you should make a sale. If you really studied, you really practice, you get out there and you close something, you should make a sale. And that's the sign to me that you have long-term opportunity. I'm curious, was that the case for you? Did you start writing business that first week?
The first week in the field, I did. Yeah, I think I may have practiced a little bit too. I wanted to watch all your videos, and,
Sure.
and you made a lot of videos. But by the time I actually got in the field, yeah, I just started making sales.
Because so it came right away.
Yeah, because I just got in front of people, and if I didn't know something, it was no big deal, because I could call. There's a really good trainer that, for those of you that are watching, Luis Moreno, that works with Dave. You can always call him and then get information. There's also various other resources in David's organization that you can utilize to get those questions answered. Or you can just call the carrier, because carrier 9 times out of 10 will just tell you as well. So, I mean, you don't worry about not knowing the information. The most important thing is is getting in front of them, showing them your dog. I mean, it sounds stupid, but getting them to trust. Because if they do that, then there's 20 plans in my area, and all I have to do is switch them from one to another, even
Right.
within the same carrier.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're many times just gonna buy you. So don't be afraid.
Right. Well, Brad, thanks so much for being here, man. I enjoyed it. I'm sure the audience did too as well. And if you all are interested in learning how we do Medicare and are interested in how Brad does it and want to see how what we've done has helped him, go to davidduford.com/Medicare-training or Medicare-Advantage, excuse me. Watch that first video for a really good in-depth description of how the sales and marketing program works, how our lead subsidy program works, where you could get potentially free leads based off of production. And then also you'll see some testimonials from agents who've done very well with our system. We love Medicare. I anticipate in my business, while I've focused predominantly on final expense, we're going to do a lot more Medicare in the next 5 to 10 years. And you're at the tail beginning of a huge trend. And if you're interested in Medicare, we've got the tools and resources for you. So head on over to davidduford.com/Medicare-Advantage. Brad, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.